Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1:01 p.m. I want to welcome you to the WIFA Federal Programs Committee meeting. Mr. Corral, can you please confirm the recording has been started?
Confirm it's in progress.
Excellent. As I said, it is now 1:01 p.m. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the WIFA Federal Programs Committee. Ms. Mendoza, please call the roll.
Yes, Madam Chair. Blake Anderson,
Present.
Britton Baxter, Tom Bushotsky, Paul Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. Ray Montoya.
Aye.
Thank you. Joe Olson.
Present.
Thank you. Kevin Rogers.
Present.
Fernando Shipley.
Here.
David Tenney.
Present.
Sandra Watson. And Karen Peters.
Here.
Thank you. Quorum is confirmed.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Mendoza. So for the record, please remember to identify yourself when making a motion or requesting to speak. For those attending virtually, please ensure you are unmuted for any votes. In addition, if any member wishes to depart the meeting at any time, please announce your departure for our recorded meeting records.
Keith Watkins here for Sandra Watson.
Oh, excellent. Welcome,
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go on to agenda item number 2, disclosure of conflicts of interest. Has WIFA staff received any disclosures?
Afternoon, Joe Satelli, General Counsel. No disclosures have been submitted for today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. If any member would like to identify and disclose a conflict for any item on today's agenda, they may do so at this time. Okay, we'll proceed then to the director's report. Our interim director, Chelsea McGuire, will lead the discussion.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So first of all, welcome to the very first official meeting to happen in the new WIFA facilities. We're very excited to welcome you. We appreciate your patience in advance for a few glitches. As you've noticed, one of them is that the microphones don't actually carry to the room. We are working on getting that programming fixed, but for now, if you are speaking, speak a little louder than you would normally do, because we promise it's not yelling for people in the back. It's actually just normal volume. I will also note for the members here at the table, the mics on the Zoom even are a little bit quiet. So just everyone use your outside voices today, I guess is what we're going to do. I will also mention that there are a few things on today's agenda that will address the federal funding freeze and some of the issues that we have had with that and some of the impacts on our borrowers. I won't spoil Denise's presentation too much, other than just to say we're going to give you some details on that, but the bottom line of that is going to be that it is still business as usual here at WIFA. So we're very excited to be able to say that. We know we are unique in that, and that there are a lot of entities that aren't able to say that right now. But we will give you some more details on that going forward. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Item number 4 is our financial update. Denise Olson will lead the discussion.
Thank you. So if you can just go to the next slide. The purpose of this agenda item is just to give the committee an update of where we're at in terms of our forgivable principal. We do this report every so often just to give the committee an idea of where we're at in terms of giving out our forgivable principal for the 2 programs. I did change it up a little bit this year, where I'm really showing just the activity that's happening this fiscal year versus some cumulative number, which is what we've done in the past. So the first column shows you what we started off the fiscal year with in terms of forgivable principal. It shows you all the different programs that we have. It breaks it out between drinking water and also clean water. You can see we started off with drinking water of about $82 million. The board did some approvals in the July meeting. And then we've also have some agenda items today. That brings us to a total balance of about $74 million. So there's still plenty of money in our drinking water programs. If you look at clean water, we've got, we started the fiscal year with $18 million. We've approved $650,000, and we have $600,000 on today's, sorry, I didn't push my button here, on today's agenda, which brings us to a total balance of about $17 million. So that one's a little bit tighter. but we still have money for the rest of the fiscal year. Is there any questions on this that I can answer?
Any questions for Denise? Okay, I think you can proceed to agenda item number 5.
Thank you. So this is what Chelsea was alluding to earlier. We've had quite a busy couple of weeks when it comes to our SRF programs. It started on January 20th with an executive order that was unleashed regarding the unleashing of American energy. So we've been getting emails from that. Once we got the emails of this executive order, we proactively really went forward with disbursements that we had. Any disbursements that were pending, we processed them as quickly as we possibly could. On January 30th, EPA announced that it was going to start evaluating all the programs, and so they basically shut down access to our supplemental grants, our lead grants, and our EC grants. So basically, the only grants that were opened for disbursement requests was our base grants, which is a very small dollar amount. So that was on January 30th. Now, on February 4th, 5th, and 6th, that went away due to the multiple court proceedings that we've been hearing. So EPA opened those back up, and we right away went in with our disbursements, which wasn't very much. And so we were able to process those disbursements. So to date, we have no disbursements outstanding. So Chelsea started this off with saying it's business as usual. And I want to emphasize it is business as usual. We are paying all of our disbursements. In terms of our borrowers, we do not want anybody to stop sending in disbursements. When we say business as usual, it's business as usual. This was a temporary glitch where we could not process these payments, but we are up and running as of today. We are monitoring the situation. We constantly check this, and right now everything is good to go. So we go to the next slide. So then stepping back, anytime things like this happen, we always want to say, okay, what is our position overall? And what can we do to manage our way through this process? So what we did is we looked at what was our cash balance in our accounts. And so as of January, we had over 250 million of cash. Okay, so this does not include any grant funds. All right. So then what we did is we said, okay, let's just assume there's no more grant money. So worst case scenario, which is probably highly unlikely, but if we took away all of our grant money and we took all of our existing commitments with all of our borrowers and did the disbursements, how much cash do we have and how long would we last before we had to react? And so when we modeled this out, we're looking that we can get to probably January or April with our cash reserves. Now, remember, I'm very adamant that we keep a $50 million fund balance. And in the next graph, I'm going to draw that $50 million line. So in my mind, we would have to react in January because we do not want to go below our $50 million. But regardless, we've got cash to manage our way through any kind of changes in policy as it comes to our SRF programs. Even though we don't anticipate that at this point, financially, we're very strong. Is there any questions on this before I move on? Okay, so next slide. So in summary, as of February 7th, we have no pending disbursements. We have a strong cash position. Some of that is due to the fact that we did get 37 million in cash reserves from the refunding, if you remember, that we did this summer. We also have enough cash to last us about a year if we assume a freeze on all grants, which is highly unlikely. And we will continue to monitor the disbursement request as that's a big factor in this whole equation. And also we will continue to monitor this situation. Any questions? Okay.
Any questions for Denise? I will just comment that at ADEQ, of course, we work very closely with WIFA. A lot of funding goes back and forth, or maybe just one way. And so WIFA has been very responsive and helpful I will note that at DEQ, all of our grants were fully functional as of Friday, but as of today, we do have one that's back in suspension, but it's nothing related to our water programs. It's an air quality issue under the IRA grant, one of the IRA grants. So the situation's not entirely stable, but it's better.
Definitely. And I would echo what Denise said, both in terms of the business as usual for now and the constant day-to-day monitoring. Even as we've had discussions among leadership and among staff, things will change in the middle of that discussion and we'll hear, oh, there's been another court ruling or that's happened. So we are also very committed to keeping our borrowers updated with information as we know it. So please be on the lookout. If you're not already signed up for our Gov delivery alerts on our contact page, please do that because that will be our main line of communication. But we are fortunate to be able to say it is business as usual for now, and we'll keep you updated as we know more.
Okay. Thank you. And if there are any other questions, of course, I know that staff's going to be available to answer those when you think of them later. Okay, so thanks very much. Let's go to agenda items 6A and 6B, and I will note that those are noticed as consent agenda items. So any item on the consent agenda may be removed and discussed as a regular agenda item upon the request of any committee member. For those attending virtually, please ensure you are unmuted for our vote. Before I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, does any member wish to remove an item for further discussion? Okay, I'm hearing none. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
This is Fernando Shipley. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion is approved. I will note in reading the items, the agenda items, 6A and 6B, it just really underscored for me how important the SRF programs are for our state. And so very hopeful going forward they continue to be funded because we have a lot to do, a lot on our priority list to pay attention to. So let's go then to our regular agenda items. Members of the public wanting to speak on a specific agenda item may request to speak prior to the chairman opening discussion on that item. For instructions on how to submit a speaker's card, please refer to the notes on proceedings section of today's meeting agenda. With that, let's go to agenda item number 7. Loan Resolution 2025-045, Town of Clarkdale. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion and introduce any representatives from the applicant who are present.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Town of Clarkdale is requesting $2 million in funding for a wastewater project to replace the existing sewer main, manholes, and service connections extending from North Broadway Road to the 5th Street alley along North 3rd Street. The existing gravity sewer main is over 100 years old and has outlived its design life, resulting in frequent backups, breaks, and leaks. Portions of the main are also located in hard to access areas and need to be rerouted to improve accessibility for future operation and ease of repair. The town is implementing an extensive 5-year capital improvement plan that includes, among other plans, multiple water and wastewater projects. The town has been proactive with rates to help pay for these improvements, and they are in good financial position. The Town of Clarkdale meets the WIFA criteria for a disadvantaged community based on its MHI. It's also a priority community. Therefore, staff recommends $600,000 in forgivable principal. Town management has also requested a 25-year term for this loan instead of the normal WIFA 20-year term. This is to help spread out the debt service payment requirements as they move to implement the previously mentioned capital improvement plan. This request was considered after the draft resolutions were sent out in the packets last week, but staff has no objection to this longer term. Therefore, staff proposes the FPC recommend approval of resolution 2025-045 with the loan terms in section 3 changed from 20 to 25 years. We do have representatives from the town online, Susan Guthrie, the town manager, it looks like DK Green and Joe Duffy. And the project manager on this was Morgan Burgess, and the loan officer was Evan Marsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And thanks to,
Can't hear you online.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Madam Chair. Just a quick clarifying question for Scott. You mentioned that the payment schedule would be over 25 years. I'm looking at the 20-year debt service. Do you have what the annual debt service is for the 25-year payment schedule?
We probably did. We did look at it, and I don't have it right in front of me. Mainly because at 20 years, it's going to be a more burdensome.
Yeah, so it'll be
approval. It's gonna be
something lower
less.
than what was the $97,000.
Right.
$400
I think it's going to be
ish.
about 10,000 less.
Okay, that's the level I was looking
yeah.
for. Thank you.
thank you, Joe. Any other questions for WIFA staff? Okay, does the committee have any questions for the applicant?
I'm sure this is Kevin Rogers. I have a question.
Yeah, turn on your mic.
This is Kevin Rogers. I have a question, Madam Chair.
Please go ahead.
So what is the timing? Where are we in the process with this project and the timing of construction and completion?
Okay, looks like we have Town Manager Guthrie on the line, and any other representatives available to answer that question?
Yeah, this is Susan Guthrie. I can tell you that, first of all, the other question that you asked, our estimate of the payment under the 25-year amortization is 80,400. That's just our internal calculations, if that helps a little. And then in terms of construction, we are at 100% design. We're finalizing a couple of entry easements just so we can get on private property to do the construction. And also we're finalizing procurement, but we're ready to move on this project as soon as we get approval of funding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Did the applicant have anything you'd like to add?
Just that we appreciate your consideration, and this is a very unique project. As you know, we are a company town. We were built by the mines. And so that's why this is such an unusual project where these lines were built under homes and, people's backyards. Pools have been built over the lines. I mean, it's a very, very complicated project, and the town has paid for 100% of the design. And we do have extreme level of support from the neighborhood whose yards and homes have been flooded repeatedly. So we do again appreciate your consideration of this request.
Thanks very much. Do we have any requests for public comment on this item?
No, we do not.
Okay, any additional committee discussion on this item? Hearing none, may I have a motion on agenda item number 7?
And I will note that in the motion, could the motion maker please specify the requested change of the increase in the loan term, just for our records?
Madam Chair, this is Jolson. I'll make a motion. I recommend approval of resolution 2025-045 with the adjustment for a 25-year payment schedule.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, this is Ray Montoya. I'll second.
Excellent. Thank you, Ray. Is there any committee member discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, thank you. The motion passes. Let's go to agenda, and thank you again to the applicant for being with us today. Agenda item number 8, Loan Resolution 2025-046, Town of Oro Valley. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion and introduce representatives from the applicant who are present.
Okay, thank you again, Madam Chair. The town of Oro Valley is requesting just over $12 million to support the construction of a booster station and 7 miles of water transmission main, including a capacity booster station, as part of their portion of the Northwest Recharge Recovery and Delivery System undertaken in conjunction with the town of Marana and Metropolitan DWID. And these improvements are expected to deliver an additional 4,000 acre feet per year of recovered cap water, enhancing the overall water supply of Oro Valley. The town also received a water conservation grant fund of nearly $1.7 million for this project, and it is noted that the proceeds of the proposed loan cannot be used to meet the 25% match requirement for the water conservation grant fund assistance. The town is in a strong financial position, and their water utility bonds are AA rated, which by statute can be relied upon for evidence of financial capability. Applying WIFA procedure 3.20, staff recommends $1,012,500 in forgivable principal for this larger drinking water project. WIFA staff is in the process of completing an environmental assessment for this project. The project will not be presented for board consideration until the environmental review process is complete in accordance with the readiness to proceed objective. The anticipated completion date of the environmental review process is next month, which is March 2025. Representing the town today is Peter Abraham, and I believe we have Jillian Johnson online with Steve Nicholas for any questions. The project manager is Michael Vidori, and the loan officer is Anthony Noguera. Staff proposes the FPC recommend approval of resolution 2025-046. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Does the committee have any questions for WIFA staff? I guess I do. The water conservation grant, it's just unusual. It jumped out at me as something that I haven't seen before. Is this something we've seen before that I just missed?
Usually when I'll let if she wants to add.
Turn your mic on.
Oops, sorry. Yes, thank you. I'll let Lindsay add if she wants any more, but typically, we're only reporting when it's the exact same project or the funding is for the same project. So this is the first one that I'm recalling that we actually had that condition because of the conservation grant funds being fairly new. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for WIFA staff? Okay, does the committee have questions for the applicant?
Madam Chair, this is Kevin Rogers. I have a question for the applicant.
Yes, please go ahead.
We're adding, with this project, we're adding 4,000 acre feet. What is their current usage? How many acre feet are they currently using? What does this represent an increase of supply?
And could you please identify yourself for the recording?
Yes. Is this microphone working?
Should be. And that should lift to the room, so we should be able to hear you in the room with that one, that particular microphone.
Okay, well,
Again, thank you for being our first meeting.
Oh, yeah, I think that worked.
It's not gonna project in the
Yeah.
room, just on Zoom.
Okay, good afternoon.
This will just project for those online.
Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Peter Abraham. I'm the Water Utility Director for the Town of Oro Valley Water Utility. Today, I am joined in person with Jill Johnson from Stifel Public Finance. So if there's any financial questions that are beyond my scope of responding, Jill can do that. Chair Rogers, to answer your question, currently the Town of Oro Valley has a CAP allocation of 10,305 acre feet a year. We're currently delivering just under 3,000 acre feet a year to our service area. Just a positive note on that, I expressed to my Water Utility Commission last night, of our 18 wells, because we bring in just under 3,000 acre feet of CAP water to our service area, as well as reclaimed water to our service area for turf irrigation. Out of those 18 wells, we're now seeing aquifer recovery in 9 of them. This project will allow us to import an additional 4,000 acre feet of our CAP allocation to our service area. So bringing up that delivery allocation to just under 7,000 acre feet a year. So a game changer, not just for our service area, but for Southern Arizona. And we expect to see more recovery in our existing wells and additional recovery in wells that don't yet show recovery.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Are there any other questions for the applicant?
Madam Chair, this is Ray Montoya. I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Hey, Peter, this is part of a bigger regional program as well with other partners like Town of Marana or other folks. Is this the last phase or the only phase that Oro Valley will have to entertain to execute this regional program? Or is there more coming, more infrastructure coming after this?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Montoya. So the Northwest Recharge and Recovery Delivery System project, as you know, it's a partnership project. Well, there's a partnership component that includes the Town of Marana and the Metropolitan Domestic Water Improvement District, as well as independent portions. The partnered portion is about 50% complete. It's currently underway. As far as the independent portions go, we're about 2/3 complete with our independent projects. This funding that we've submitted an application for WIFA funding would be to complete the last 2 components of the independent part of that project. We've already completed all of the other independent portions of that project.
Okay, thank you very much. Got it.
Thank you, Ray. Are there any other committee questions for the applicant? Are there any requests for public comment on this item?
No, Chair, there are not.
Okay. Any additional committee discussion? Hearing none, may I have a motion for agenda item number 8, loan resolution 2025-046?
Madam Chair, this is Ray Montoya. I recommend approval of loan resolution 2025-046.
Have a second.
This is Paul Gardner. I second it.
Outstanding. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, motion is approved. Thank you for being with us today. We'll move on to agenda item number 9, loan resolution 2025-050, Cactus State Utility Operating Company, LLC, Rancheros Bonitos Water Company. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Cactus State Operating Utilities Rancheros Bonitos Water Company has uranium levels in their well that exceed the maximum contaminant level. The system has received a consent order from the ADEQ and has an immediate need to solve the problem. They are requesting $656,097 in a loan to install a treatment system to reduce the uranium levels below the MCL. The borrower meets the WIFA criteria to qualify as a disadvantaged community and as a priority community. In addition, they are resolving a public health threat. Rancheros Bonitos Water Company, operating under Cactus State Utility Operating Company, has pledged its water system revenue, but with some concerns on the small system, which has less than 50 connections, being able to meet all loan repayment covenants, WIFA will make it a condition of this loan that the parent company of both, Central States Water Resources, agree to enter into a financial support agreement prior to closing the loan. Applying WIFA procedure 3.20.1 for a disadvantaged community that is solving a public health threat, WIFA staff recommends $503,048, which is 77% of the loan in forgivable principal. WIFA staff also recommends up to $20,000 in technical assistance to contract with the Council of Governments to assist with Davis-Bacon and related act requirements. Representing Cactus State today is Fred Crease, Regional Director, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your partner's name, but, and the project manager is Lindsay Mills and the loan officer is Evan Marsh. Staff proposes the FBC recommend approval of resolution 2025-050. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Does the committee have any questions for WIFA staff? Does the committee have any questions for the applicant? Thank you for being here today. Nice to see you again, Fred. Do we have any requests for public comment on the item?
We do not.
Is there any other committee discussion on the item? Okay. May I have a motion on agenda item number 9, loan resolution 2025-050?
Madam Chair, this is Britton Baxter. I move to recommend approval of loan resolution 2025-050.
Thank you.
This is Fernando Shipley. I'll second.
Thank you, Fernando. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any abstained? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 10. Loan resolution 2025-051, Cactus State Utility Operating Company, LLC, Tierra Mesa Estates Water Company. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion.
Okay, thank you. Cactus State Operating Utilities Tierra Mesa Estates Water Company system is currently out of compliance due to uranium levels in the wells exceeding the maximum contaminant level. The requested loan of just over 1 million would fund the installation of a 160 gallons per minute uranium treatment system for the 2 wells. The borrower meets the WIFA criteria to qualify as a disadvantaged community and is a priority community. In addition, they are resolving a public health threat. Similar to the prior water company, Tierra Mesa Estates Water Company, operating under Cactus State's Utility Operating Company, has pledged its water revenue, but because of concerns about the ability of the system to meet coverage requirements, WIFA will make it a condition of the loan that the parent company of both Central States Water Resources agree to enter into financial support agreement prior to closing the loan. Applying WIFA procedure 3.20.1 for a disadvantaged community that is solving a public health threat, WIFA staff recommends $687,618 or 63% of the loan in forgivable principal. WIFA staff also recommends up to $20,000 in technical assistance related to contract with the Council of Governments to assist with the Davis-Bacon and related act requirements. We have the same representatives for Cactus State here, and the project manager again was Lindsay Mills and the loan officer is Evan Marsh. Staff proposes the FBC recommend approval of resolution 2025-051. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Does the committee have any questions for WIFA staff? Committee have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Joe Olson.
Go ahead, Joe.
One question, how far away is this located from the previous application, the well site on the previous application? Because it seems to be the same constituent. I'm curious if it's the same plume, if they're in proximal location.
Chairman Peters, Joel.
Can you use the mic so the folks on Zoom can hear you? Sorry about that.
My life. Chairman Peters, Committee Member Olson, very good question. Actually, both these systems are in very close proximity to each other. As a matter of fact, on an interim basis, we've made available to our customers water through a kiosk. Both those communities have access to that kiosk. They're very in close proximity to each other, hence the plume with the radionuclides and uranium. It's very common for these systems.
Makes sense. Thank you.
And I will just add my appreciation for the alternative water supply while the public health issues are getting addressed. That's a high priority for us at ADEQ. Do we have any requests for public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, this is Ray Montoya. I have a question as well.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ray.
Just, thinking about operations and maintenance of something you're not certainly operating and maintaining now, is that factored into, it's not factored into the loan, but is it factored into what you'll have to take over for the next 10 or 20 years?
Chairman Peters, Committee Member Montoya. Yeah, frankly, the technology we're using right now, it's pretty minimal when it comes to day-to-day operations. We've got a plan to deal with the spent media. So by far the biggest component of this is the capital cost involved with this project. And we've done a fair amount of analysis too on implementing what we feel the lowest life cycle cost is from the standpoint of balancing capital and ongoing operation expenses.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ray. Any other committee questions for the applicant? Are there any requests for public comment on this item?
There are not.
Okay. Any additional committee discussion? May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Jolson. I recommend approval of loan resolution 2025-051.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, this is Kevin Rogers. I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstained? Okay, motion is approved. Thank you again for being with us today.
On behalf of Cactus State and CSWR, we're very grateful for your thoughtful consideration of our applications. As you may know, we're in the process of acquiring dozens of disadvantaged, undercapitalized water utilities across the state of Arizona. We are committed to making necessary capital improvements to get these systems into full compliance, and you'll be seeing us again in the future. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a call to the public. This is the time for any additional public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Are there any requests for public comment?
Sorry, there are not.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to agenda item number 12, agenda development. This is the opportunity for committee members to identify any topics they would like to be placed on an agenda at a future meeting. Chelsea, anything?
No, Madam Chair, nothing of note. We will be polling for future meeting dates for the committee as we typically do. We'll continue to update you on the federal funding freeze and situation, but other than that, it should be relatively run of the mill.
That's okay. All right, thank you. Then agenda item 13, our next meeting, next Federal Programs Committee meeting is scheduled for April 8th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Likely at this location.
Yes, at this location.
Okay, terrific. There being no further business, I will adjourn this meeting of the WIFA Federal Programs Committee. The time is now 1:39 p.m. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.